Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. But of course, a different Hearts of Iron 4 today. Also, if I sound different, I'm recording in a different area. I am recording in my actual home in my kitchen because I'm not tired yet, so I'm not going to go upstairs to bed. So I am home for Thanksgiving, for my Thanksgiving break. I have about a week, so I am home visiting family, so that's why it might sound different. But besides that, you can see that this is not modern day mod. This isn't Cold War. This isn't anything we've played before. This is something new. This is probably one of two of kind of the same mod that I'm going to show you. This first one I think is the most well prepared at the moment. The other one is very cool as well, and I'll be sure to make a video of that and show you a mod spotlight of that as well. One of these we can make a series of, but I want to show you both of the mods before really we make a decision on if we want to play a series of it. This mod, of course, is the Man in the High Castle mod. It's based off of the hit Amazon Prime show and book, The Man in the High Castle, where essentially Germany, Italy, and Japan won World War II and split the world up basically as they see fit. This isn't the most accurate of maps when it comes to the Man in the High Castle. The other mod has a more accurate map, but less of a playing aspect, as I see it. I don't know. Again, it's going to be up to you guys if we make a series on either one of these or if we don't at all and we just continue with modern day. Also, while I'm talking about this, I figured out how to do observe mode. So we could do some AI-only battles, per se. Like, we could do World War II, we could do a modern day one, we could do a Cold War one. Basically, it's whatever you guys see fit, and then we can intervene, as we see it and as things happen, and if we want to change things. But as you can see, we have the German Reich, which is huge. Of course, they are ginormous. Of course, Hitler is still the leader. In this mod, it's set in 1947, right after the war is over. Basically, 2 years after the war is done. In the other mod, it's set in 1962, around the time of the TV show, / Amazon Prime show. If you've watched that, I've seen the first season of it. I'm not really big into the alternate history. And this is kind of that. It's all alternate history. That we're playing it as the country that we are playing at the moment. There we go. English is difficult, guys. English is it's a hard language to learn, but it's fine. We're playing as the Greater Nazi Reich at the moment. This is in the TV show where a lot of the story takes place right around the neutral zone, Japanese Pacific states, and the Greater Nazi Reich. You really don't see much of the German Reich and Japan, at least kind of in the first season as I've seen it. I'm not going to put off any spoilers or anything like that. What you see in here is basically the start of the TV show / in the book, if you are reading it or if you're watching it. So we have the German Reich with Hitler, of course. We have Japan with, of course, the Emperor. I believe, does he have this? No. Okay, so he doesn't puppet any of these areas. In the other mod, Japan has puppeted literally all of this and all of the Soviet Union up here, which shouldn't be here. It should be Japanese-controlled territory. But again, they're still in the process of making the map. It still needs a lot more to fix. As of right now, it's not the worst thing in the world. If we go here, you can see that we have the Allies' Axis common turn, and the Axis East, which is new. It puts in basically Japan and then the Japanese Pacific states all into one area. Soon enough, these guys will drop out of the Allies because they are fascist. So they're not going to be joining in with the Allies anymore. Basically, the Allies are going to be democratic, and that's it. Also, in the Man in the High Castle, Germany, I think, had puppeted Great Britain. I'm pretty sure. I think that's how it is in the other mod. It's Germany puppeted Great Britain and took them away from basically the Allies. There's no more allies. So that would be pretty interesting. Also, the Chinese United Front no longer exists. Japan had puppeted all of these areas, basically free India, Tibet, China, and then all of their puppets before they had completely taken over. So this is basically the mod. There isn't any research availability, like nothing new as far as research is concerned. I don't believe. It does put in some American tanks and then some German tanks, which I really do enjoy. And then everything else is basically the same, at least for the Greater Nazi Reich, as the one that I usually play as, because it gives you the most opportunity for expansion. You're not technically puppeted by Germany right now, which you should be, and in the other mod you are. But you're not puppeted by the German Reich, so that's actually good because it allows you to, one day if you think that you're big enough, you can attack the German Reich and hopefully win. Because the German Reich, of course, is the superpower. They're the huge, huge power in all of the world at the moment. They're number one. I think Japan is close with number two. And then that's the Greater Nazi Reich, and then the Japanese Pacific States. But if you look at who's in the factions versus who's not, Canada's in the faction of the Allies, but really Great Britain can't do a lot to you. So you can invade Canada almost freely. And then Mexico down here is completely up for grabs. The neutral zone actually is completely up for grabs. I hope, though, they put something in the mod that allows you to not attack the neutral zone. Because that's really what sets off, if anything, I don't know what sets off the gigantic war if that actually happens between the Germans and the Japanese. But I would think going into the neutral zone, that would happen. You would invade them and they'd be like, all right, so war. All right, that's cool. Also, which is kind of slightly annoying. It's really the slightest thing. Germany right now does not have nuclear technology, even though they dropped the bomb on the United States. When it comes to this timeline, the Germans dropped the atomic bomb on Washington and completely obliterated it. The Germans right now in this mod, in this game right now, don't have nuclear technology, which to me, that's kind of annoying. But at the same time, it's something to be added. It's not something to completely freak out about. Also, if you're playing as the German Reich, it's way easier to take out the rest of the Soviet Union because you can just line up. You have about 107, 108 divisions, and you just line them up across this border, draw a line to about like here, and just have them do it. They'll invade, and then they'll eventually take away everything of the Soviet Union. They'll fall apart. You don't even have to get to their capital. All you have to do is get to about basically here, and you're good. You're golden, and they'll fall apart. They're done, and then you can just annex the rest of them. So that's why I'm hoping here in the next updates of this mod that they give a lot of this Soviet Union land, because the Soviets aren't even supposed to be around anymore. They're supposed to be destroyed. All of this area that's not German controlled right now should be Japanese controlled, and it's not. So hopefully they either divvy it out to be Japanese puppets, or they figure that out as see fit, because the Japanese should control Mongolia and then all of the little countries around here and then all of the Soviet Union. Plus they should have puppeted India and other things like that. Japan should actually control this area, like fully control it, but the rest of it should be puppeted. And the Germans should about control what they have, plus they should have the Swedish and Finnish. I don't know what... The Finns, there we go. They should be under control, not of the German Reich. They shouldn't have... Like, the Germans shouldn't have that area, but they should be puppeted. All of these guys should be puppeted, or otherwise be in the faction. And then the Italians should have Greece, Turkey, and I think Iraq, or they should puppet Iraq. I think that's around what we should see. And then, of course, Vichy France should be a part of Germany. Or is it Vicky France? I think it's Vichy. I call it Vichy, but of course, if I'm wrong, which I usually am wrong, you guys can tell me. And then the Germans should also control most of this area down here in Saudi Arabia. That should also be German-controlled land. Iran, Iraq. Iraq should belong to the Italians, I think. I could be wrong. Maybe the Germans are supposed to take Iraq and Saudi Arabia and all this. They're supposed to take all of that, and then the Italians are basically supposed to take the rest. But this should be how it is, and then there should be kind of a divide line here in South America, kind of cut in between Brazil, which I don't know. The other mod creator of the creator of the other mod did a great job of making the map. So when I show you that video, of course, you're going to be like, whoa, this is really different. Like, this isn't nothing like I saw before. This is the most playable because you actually have units for the Greater Nazi Reich. And, of course, there are different names in the other ones. Like, I think for the Germans in the other mod, it's the Greater Germanic Reich, which that's probably more book-oriented instead of show-oriented. But I kind of like a mix of both. I know it's not going to be the most accurate, but it's going to be the most playable and probably the most fun for a series. So I do like a mix of both of them, but you have a good amount of actual units. You can see that we have conscripts, panzers, American Nazi SS divisions, mountains, and then cav. Usually I just train a couple conscripts because they're mostly just infantry and an artillery. And that's enough kind of to get the job done for a little bit. Of course, invading Mexico is a little bit difficult. Mexico does have an army, and you, of course, as the Greater Nazi Reich, you're not the most powerful. You don't have nukes. You don't have anything like that. You're not really a powerful nation. You can invade the neutral zone pretty quickly. That's not that difficult. And then, really, your biggest attackers are Canada and Mexico. If you can take out those two, you're pretty good with starting your own empire and making it flourish. But attacking the Japanese Pacific states now, which I really like, is attacking Japan, which is a very, very powerful nation. And of course, soon they will declare war, I think, on China. And when I was playing this before, they puppeted them, which I love because I don't think that Japan should fully have all of this area. I do believe that they should keep what they own and then puppet the rest, because the Japanese, as far as the show is concerned, they're a lot more free. Like, the countries that are puppeted by the Japanese, they kind of have their own rights and they can do their own things. But at the end of the day, they fall under the emperor. So if you have a kind emperor, of course, you're like, oh, free. Like, we're all free. This is great. But if you have a really, terrible emperor, then you're probably going to get annexed here soon. So it's really cool. It's really exciting. So I actually agree with what the Japanese have. And if they puppet, I like that more than anything else. So that's why if I was to play as Japan, I would probably attack the Soviet Union rather quickly, try to gain as much of the Soviet Union land as possible. So that way I don't look like I'm so small to the German Reich. And the German Reich, of course, as I said, is number one. They're the superpower that you hope to destroy in this particular mod. And of course, in the other one, they're even stronger, I think, in the other one. So it's really difficult to destroy the German Reich. So you can either play as the Greater Nazi Reich and build yourself up here and make your own empire and then try to go after them. Or you can play as Japan, invade the Soviet Union, gain all of that land, and then try to see what you can do afterwards, because not only will you gain the Soviet Union land, because they're part of the Comintern, if I can click that here, you can gain this land too, which in turn, if you grab the Chinese, you can make a pretty large empire in a short amount of time, and really the Germans can't do anything about it. Because the only thing that the Germans can really do, if you're playing as the German Reich, is invade the Soviet Union, and then you're off to destroy the Japanese, which the Japanese still have a huge army, and it's not that difficult for them. But, they're still going to have a tough time against the Germans, and the Germans are still going to end up winning. But it's going to be a lot harder for the Germans to attack the Japanese, even if they don't get the Soviet Union land. But if they grab the Soviet Union's land and Mongolia and all of these other nations, and then they puppet China, they have just a border. And it's going to be a gigantic struggle right here. And that's basically where the big war is going to be. Now, if you look, though, the other major superpower, Italy, is on the German side. So if you are going to be the Japanese, if you're playing this mod, hopefully I'll remember to put the link down in the description. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to be able to do that. But if not, comment down below if you want the links. I will try to shoot them to you as quickly as possible. But if you try to play as the Japanese, you're going to be one-sided, and you got to make sure that if you puppet nations, that they have large armies, and you got to make sure that they build themselves up so that way you have a decent amount of support on your own side, because Italy has a shit ton of troops, Germany has a shit ton of troops. It's going to be difficult for you to defend against all of that. I know that one of the nations that would probably go with the Japanese the quickest is India. They would probably be like, sure, we'll help India, we'll help Japan before we help Germany. It's kind of a thing of who's the best fascist now. It's the Nazis versus the Japanese. Who is the better fascist? So that's why if you're not going to play as the greater Nazi Reich, then playing as Japan is probably your best go when attacking the German Reich. Because even as Italy, I don't even think you can leave, because you're not, as Italy you could probably leave because you're not puppeted by the German Reich. If you're puppeted by the German Reich and you're in their faction, you can't leave. And there's no way that you can try to attack the German Reich because you're puppeted by them. You're screwed either way, and you're not going to be able to get out. So that's why it's better to play as either Greater Nazi Reich or Japan. So I do want to know from you guys, if you do want to see a series of this, do you want to see the Greater Nazi Reich or Japan? So I'm not actually going to tick any sort of day. I did want to do just a little bit of a spotlight of this. If you guys enjoyed it, please put a like down below. Tells me that you enjoyed it. Of course, comment down below Greater Nazi Reich or Japan if you want to see a series of it. And what are you most looking forward to if we do a series of this? Because I bet a lot of you are going to want to see Japan and hopefully us destroy the Germans, but that's going to be very, very difficult to do. Or you're going to want to see the Greater Nazi Reich and making a new North American empire and trying to destroy both the Japanese Pacific states and Japan. Who knows? Or even the German Reich. We could do that too. So, of course, comment down below all of those things. And if you have not already done so, make sure you subscribe, because we're going to be doing probably a lot more of The Man in the High Castle. Of course, modern day. We're going to be doing, I don't know, probably another modern day. I'm thinking about opening up a second modern day. Not exactly sure about that, because Israel is going rather smoothly at the moment. Possibly going to continue the U.S. I forgot all about that, and I need to continue recording that so that way I can throw that out to you guys. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Of course, I hope your Thanksgiving goes rather well. I hope you eat merry and you just do a whole bunch of cool stuff with your family or friends or anything. Maybe you're eating by yourself. If you're eating by yourself, I hope you eat a ton by yourself, and I hope you really enjoy your time off from work, school, all of that. Of course, I'm going to be enjoying it, even though I'm going to be doing homework a lot of this time. So that's going to be really tough, but oh well. I'm going to do a lot of recording because I haven't been able to record in a long time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, take care. P.S. Real sorry about my voice. Of course, I went down to a different part of Kansas, so I am suffering from a little bit of the allergies because it's a totally different part of Kansas. It's like a totally different part. It's like a totally different state. If you go from one side of a state to the other, it's like, oh my God. And then you have to focus yourself back in. It's going to happen when I go back down to El Dorado too, so it's going to be tough. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, take care.